So Jeff Branson gets the start at third base tonight, and at his fourth career start, C.J. Nitkowski will bat ninth against Curt Schilling. 5-2, the ace of the Philadelphia Phillies, approaching the form buck of 2 years ago.
Well, there's no question about it. This is his 13th start of the season. 3.58, that's the ERA. Look at the walks. Just 12 walks and the strikeouts, fourth in the National League. He'll throw that fastball, and it's really interesting in my mind that Curt Schilling didn't know about a four-seam fastball till he came here with the Phillies and worked with Johnny Padres, the pitching coach. Defensively, the Phillies have been outstanding. They've committed just 37 errors this year, and that really helps out a pitching staff because they're more confident they can put the ball in play. Charlie Hayes at third base has really been outstanding on his return to Philadelphia. He's played every inning this season at third base, and he's really solidified the inner defense for Philadelphia. Third base was a problem last year. Remember, Dave Hollins was there, and he just didn't have any confidence.
Well, we're underway. Last night, a crowd of about 25,000. They expect a big week of crowds here at Philadelphia. At least they're hoping for this, as the Reds are in for 3. This is the middle game of the 3-game series. And then the Atlanta Braves come in for a 4-game series, a Friday to Monday wraparound series. So 56 games into the season, Buck, as Schilling starts Barry Larkin off with the strike. 56 games into the season, a lot of folks still wondering, are the Phils for real? They are. They're also wondering if this is time, school out, Flyers done, etc. This is time for, they've been a good crowd this year, 4th best average crowd in the National League here in Philadelphia. But maybe this is a big time, a big week for the Phillies, both on the field and in the stands.
Yeah, if they're not going to come out this week, they're just not going to come out because the Reds are here for 3 games, and then the Atlanta Braves move in for a 4-game weekend set. So it's a big series here for the Phillies in Philadelphia.
Schilling is 1-2 to Barry Larkin, and we'll keep an eye on his split finger tonight. He said his last start, which he lasted less than 5, he was afraid to throw it over the plate. It wasn't diving, and he hung one, and a couple got rung around pretty good, one over the fence, but he's been very confident with that pitch this season, so he'll see if he's got 3 pitches with command or 4.
Pitch right there, that high fastball. And I mentioned that he didn't really know too much about a 4-seam fastball. He was a sinker ball pitcher before he got here to Philly, and watch the rise on this fastball. He goes cross seam, and Barry Larkin is a little bit late and pops it out of play. Johnny Padres really loves the intensity of Schilling in that he really likes to pound the strike zone now. He is truly the aggressor in this matchup.
Just missed. Larkin laid off. It's 2-2. Barry, of course, coming is a nasty-looking thumb injury. Returned on June the 16th from the injury to the right thumb, and since that time is hitting just .128 after a torrid start. It's a torrid ground ball that's gobbled up by his ex-teammate in Cincinnati, Mariano Duncan, and there's 1 out.
Well, it'll take Barry Larkin a while to get his timing back. He is struggling a bit, trying to press a bit probably. The rest of his teammates swinging the bats well, and he knows he's the table setter, and he's got to get on base for this Cincinnati offense to really click.
So Larkin will sit, and that'll bring up Thomas Howard. The young man came up with the Padres. Notice also, Buck, and I as someone that sat behind the plate for years and years and years, I'm sure you do notice the pitchers, the Curt Schilling of this year, even as opposed to the one in '93, he's not more deliberate in taking time between pitches, but he and I talked about the fact that he's slower and more under control in his windup and his delivery to the plate. When he gets a little excited, he felt that's what he was doing last year as Thomas Lyons went foul. That's one way to look at him. We also, if you're sitting at home, watch and see if he falls off to the mound to the left side. He says that's a clue to him right away that he's rushing it up there. He just feels that he's much more fluid this year, even if he's not as 100% physically right as he was in '93.
Well, he's much more confident now, so he knows that he doesn't have to be overpowering or perfect every time he goes out there. You know, one thing I talked about is the fact that he is now studying hitters. So he'll put this good motion to use. Good balance right here. He strides out over that front leg, and you can see his momentum is taking him directly toward home plate.
Ground ball to short. Kevin Knightstocker is up with it. Over to Hollins, and there's 2 up, 2 down here in the Cincinnati first.
When you work quickly as a pitcher, you really keep your infielders involved in the ball game, and that's what Schilling has done so far. He's not in a rush, but the time in between pitches is very minimal.
I think the Phillies, as a staff, are much more amenable to just throwing the ball, let them hit ground balls than they were a couple of years ago. Of course, you want to get the ball up to Ron Gant, do you?
He's a guy that can really do some damage in a hurry. Right there is where they're going to pitch him all night long tonight. Ronnie Gant right now is making some adjustments. Hal McRae said that the pitchers in the National League now are kind of counteracting Gant's hot start, and they're making some adjustments and working him off the plate. Right there, they catch the inside corner with a fastball.
Ron Gant's 15 home runs, second in the league to Larry Walker's 17 coming into the day. And what Davey Johnson has seen, Ron Gant, after not playing one iota last year, step up, and what he's done at the plate, although not in that particular at bat against Schilling, and what he's done in the locker room. So a good start for Curt Schilling and the Phils. They'll be coming up when we return.
Surprise! You may have instantly won one of 15 all-new Chevrolet Monte Carlos. Or one of over 20,000 other great prizes. It's all part of the Victory Lap Instant Win Sweepstakes. Just look inside specially marked boxes of Kellogg's Cornflakes cereal to see if you've won.
You probably think paint is paint. Well, one place has highly trained people who go to great lengths to answer any question, big or small. Expert color matching from the palest peach to the deepest pine green. And over 2,000 stores, so one's right in your neighborhood. Sherwin-Williams. And you thought it was just a can of paint. Hey, there's only one paint like ours and only one place to get it.
Ask Sherwin-Williams.
Save over 20% on A100 flat house paint during our Star Spangled Celebration.
Back in Philadelphia, 1-2-3 inning against Curt Schilling for the Reds. And Jim Bella Fergosi. Well, back pain himself. He and Dykstra, I guess, go hand in hand. Jim and Lenny had to be treated in the trainer's office before the game. They always smiling and very much a part, big part of the success of the Philadelphia Phillies, the manager, Jim Fergosi. Lenny Dykstra, back from his back problems in center field. Mariano Duncan, the second straight start at second base. Jim Eisenreich hitting third tonight. Don't see that often. Dave Hollins back last night after a stint on the DL at first base. Darren Dalton, the heart and soul of this team, is fifth. Charlie Hayes played every inning of the season, is at third base. Dave Gallagher is in left field tonight, hitting seventh. Kevin Nightstocker, the young shortstop, is eighth. Curt Schilling hitting ninth against the youngster C.J. Nitkowski. His sixth major league appearance, his fourth major league start.
Boy, he has moved quickly through the Reds organization. He was their #1 pick last June. Came out of St. John's University, and he pitched at AA last year, made 14 starts at Chattanooga. This year he started out again at AA and then moved to AAA. And when the Reds had a pitching need, they went down and called on C.J. Nitkowski. He's a finesse pitcher. He'll move the ball around. He's got a very good knuckle curveball and an outstanding changeup.
Well, he grew up not far from here in New Jersey. Had his high school coach with him before the game. So between he and Don Gullett and Davey Johnson, I'm sure he has plenty of advisors here this evening. Lenny Dykstra. Back pain, even the manager, Jim Fergosi nor Dykstra, neither of them really know, is he going to be able to make it through all season? And boy, that's tough. When you don't really know. You don't know surgery. Should we have it now? Will it help it? Do we just need rest? It's a tough decision.
Well, I think if he has surgery, his season's going to be over. So I think they're going to go as hard as they can, as long as they can, and hope that it holds up.
Kowski's lays that one in. The count is 2-1. 22 years young. Pitched college ball at St. John's University. Dykstra hits it to left field. Coming on is Ron Gant. A little late jump, but makes the play, and there's one down.
you see the Reds defense. Good speed in the outfield. Gant, Reggie Sanders on the corner. They surround Thomas Howard. Branson at third base. Larkin at short. Brett Boone has been outstanding. 69 consecutive games without an error. And that's important because they've used 8 different first basemen to his left. Hal Morris and Brian Hunter. Scheduled in most of the play. They both have hamstring problems, and they're on the DL.
First pitch to Mariano Duncan is in there for a strike. Well, even Lenny Harris has played some first base. I mean, he's not exactly a big target over there. Both of these teams have really had to improvise. Both Davey Johnson and Jim Fregosi, Buck, you hand teams that sort of injury list 56 games into the season, you figure there's no way that either will be in first place, let alone both.
Well, what they did, the Phillies in particular, went out and improved their bench, and they really made some key acquisitions, not unlike what the Reds did for Davey Johnson.
And Duncan will sit down, so good start also for Nitkowski. 2 up, 2 down, and Jim Eisenreich coming up.
First time through the lineup for the Phillies, it's going to be a matter of gathering information. Right here, after a good slow curveball, Nitkowski goes upstairs and gets the strikeout. You know, you can have scouting reports and they'll tell you he throws a fastball, a knuckle curve, and a changeup, but until you step up there and gauge the velocity yourself, you really don't have a feel for it.
Those are the 3 pitches that he will throw. As he starts Eisenreich off with a strike. Eisenreich just a few at-bats shy of being the leading hitter in the National League. Doesn't quite have enough plate appearances necessary. He actually led the league for one day. There was one day he got in the charts, he had enough at-bats, and then the next day he didn't play and he was off the charts. He says, I could care less about batting title, enough at-bats. I care that we're 18 games above 500 in first place.
He was an important part of the '93 World Series ball club, and you can see he's on a hot streak right now. 3 RBIs. He's in the 3rd spot tonight, which is interesting against the left-hander.
Right back to Nitkowski. Throw it over to Eric Anthony, and both pitchers with a 1-2-3 first inning. So the Reds and Phils scoreless after 1 here at the Vet.
Welcome to our living kitchen, a Brammer kitchen. If you're like most families, you virtually live in your kitchen. A Brammer kitchen is a classic choice for enduring value. A Brammer kitchen exhibits a lasting beauty and appeal, quality and durability. Brammer has been crafting fine kitchen cabinets for over 100 years, a true tradition in quality. At Geiger Lumber, we can help you create a classic custom cabinet look.
Gary Miller in the studio keeping you up to date in the other evening action. We start, though, with the Kellogg's K-Factor, the best strikeouts per 9 innings in the National League. Hideo Nomo, who will pitch on Thursday. 13 large-screen TVs set up in 8 different Japanese cities to watch him. Curt Schilling is on this list as well. We go back to him and Boomer and Buck.
All right, Gary, thank you. And Curt Schilling now moves out for the 2nd inning. Schilling a 1-2-3 first inning. His shortest start of the season was his last one, 4 1/3 against St. Louis. But Buck, in 9 of the 12 starts that he's made going into today's game, Schilling has pitched 7 innings or more.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. He's always had trouble going into St. Louis, and last time out, he felt like he talked himself into a bad start. He said, I'm going to finally have a good start. He's got his hands full right here with Reggie Sanders.
Reggie Sanders, 48 RBIs, leads, and now tied for first in the National League. And here's a guy that everyone knew was a fine player, smooth player, quiet, went around his business. But this year, for Reggie Sanders, he has made the quantum leap up into, if he completes a season like this, to the upper echelon of ball players. And this is 4th season, 27 years of age, from Florence, South Carolina. I mean, he had 20 home runs and 83 RBIs in '83. But this year, he's quite possibly going to get 100 RBIs. His batting average among the best. Little chopper. Charlie Hayes makes the play over to Hollins, and there's 1 out.
Well, Sanders with that good speed forced Charlie Hayes to throw on a run, and that's the aspect of this Phillies ball club that has probably improved the most. Defensively, Charlie Hayes came back to his former ball club and has really solidified the infield defense. There he takes that 2-hopper, throws on the run, and gets the speedy Reggie Sanders. He got jammed on that ball, but look at the hustle down the line, gets him just by a half a step at first.
So there's 1 out, and Eric Anthony Played some outfield, played some first base, and Anthony has hit a couple of prodigious shots. Of course, he came up and big things were expected of him as well, but had a home run on Sunday into the upper deck at Riverfront, Buck, that is estimated to be the longest one hit in the majors this year, 465 feet, only the 18th upper decker at Riverfront. He also, when he was with the Stros, hit one into the what they call the rainbow seats at the Astrodome. So I mean, and there are only 7 guys that have done that. So when he hits them, he can hit them a long way. He also had the first home run ever at Jacobs Field. So here's a guy that you don't speak of him in the same sense as Babe Ruth, but yet those are 3 nice notches in his belt.
Well, he's got that kind of ability, but he's never been able to be consistent enough to really garner an awful lot of everyday playing time.
Count is 2-1 on Anthony.
Well, they went after that high fastball, and he always has trouble if he chases that fastball from Schilling. Just 4 for 17, and Schilling now has the ability to throw that fastball up, down, in, and out. He's really got good command of his fastball. Trying to get him to chase upstairs again.
Well, that time he fell off a little bit towards first base. A little wild with it. And the count is full. With 1 out here in the second inning, none on, no score. Reds and Phils, the teams with the best 2 records in the National League. Strike 3 call. 5 up, 5 down thus far for Curt Schilling. Strikeout number 2 on the evening.
When you're around the plate all the time, you have a tendency to get those borderline pitches. And Schilling gets a fastball to the outside part of the plate right here, paints the corner. Anthony felt it was outside, but it had plenty of the outside corner. Seems to start to toss that bat away, but the umpire rings him up.
So this is Eddie Fat Man in the Bath Taubensee for you Little Feet fans. Peter Gammon's among them. Taubensee, the former Stro. Taubensee and Damon Berryhill doing the catching. Nino Santiago could come off the DL this weekend, and the Reds will have an interesting choice to make, because I don't know that they're going to carry 3 catchers. David Johnson didn't think they would, so someone's going to get the short end of the stick. Schilling mowed him down. 2 strikeouts here in the second inning for Curt Schilling, 3 on the game. We head to the bottom of the second, no score in Philadelphia.
From across the seas, Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
Why would anybody shoot like this?
When you can shoot like this.
Don't buy a camcorder until you see the sharp view cam.
This is great.
You don't have to take your glasses off to shoot. I'm able to see a full screen.
I think I'll have a lot more fun with this one.
And you can play this back instantly?
Wow, this is cool. I can shoot and still see what's going on.
You just can't do anything like this with any other camcorder.
I want one.
Like we said, don't buy a camcorder until you try the sharp view cam.
I don't know where this has been all my life.
So have you met any of the athletes who'll be staying here? The skateboarders, sky surfers?
No, but I am sure they are very nice, polite young people, and we'll get along just fine.
The Extreme Game, sponsored in part by AT&T.
It's true. The AT&T True programs have saved more customers more money than any other long-distance company. In fact, the True programs have already saved AT&T customers over $2 billion. Savings. That's your true choice, AT&T.
At Pep Boys, save $40 on our premium brake service. Our ASE-certified technicians will install Raybestos lifetime brakes for only $59.99 after rebate. Get lifetime brakes installed for only $59.99 at Pep Boys now. Now at Pep Boys, get any 4 of our 35,000-mile all-season steel-belted tires at an incredible low $109. That's right, any 75 or 80 series, any 4, just $109 at Pep Boys now.
Back to the vet in Philly, bottom of the second inning, and Curt Schilling has been outstanding, but he's got some help from his defense. Charlie Hayes made a fine play on a tapper to third. Curt Schilling shows his appreciation, and that has been a big turnaround in this ball club. They have improved their inner defense.
It's been the biggest change on this team from the club that represented the National League in the last World Series. Dave Hollins changed from third to first base. And in his second game back from the DL, he slugs a single to center field. The first base hit of the night for either club. Always hitting it hard up the middle, Gary Miller.
And we take it to Fenway Park. David Cohn against Mike Greenwell. Second inning of a scoreless game. And Gator turns on it, his 6th of the year. That's his 17th straight home run. That's been a solo shot for Boston, but good enough for a 1-0 lead.
Napoleon Solo playing for the Red Sox this year.
Boy, last night, Bill Hasselman with that 11th inning home run won the game for the Red Sox.
They're a team much like the Phillies, not like them as Darren Dalton is up. But yet people aren't really sure are they going to hang. The Reds expect it to be at or near the top. The Phillies are surprising a lot of folks, and the Red Sox also surprising a lot of folks. But the difference in that no one else in the Red Sox division is above 500. Dalton gets under it just a tad. It'll get some oohs and ahs, but it'll get Reggie Sanders under it in right center field. 1 out.
Now there's the aspect I mentioned about hitters going up against a pitcher for the first time. He just didn't get on top of that ball. He had a good hack at the high fastball, but he didn't get on top of it. You see, he got underneath it and hit it down toward the end of the bat. He would have had enough on it to drive it out of this ballpark.
Well, there's the heart and soul, no question, of the Phillies, Darren Dalton. This is his team. He and Fregosi have a great relationship. Dalton and all his teammates have a great relationship. You know, with everybody hurt, the last thing they need to get is Dalton hurt. There are a couple games when they weren't winning, and Dalton blasted into Fregosi's office in Florida, said, play me the next game. I demand it. We need to win. He played, they won. Charlie Hayes hits this to center field, but it's right at Thomas Howard. So they're 2 down, and Hollins back to first. A pretty good start for the youngster, C.J. Nitkowski, Buck.
Well, generally, young pitchers have a tendency to have rough early innings because their emotions get involved in it. But so far, he looks much more comfortable out there tonight, moving the ball around, changing speeds. Last time out, he had a rough start against the Braves, but as Davey Johnson said, hey, the Braves can make anybody look bad.
2 out, and Dave Gallagher playing left field tonight. Well, you're on this Phillies team, of course, not by design as much as you're seeing all the guys off the bench. Buck seeing action, but the guys like the Gallaghers and Tom Marsh and Gary Varsho and Randy Reddy and on and on and on. There's Varsho there. Everybody gets an opportunity, but if it's a game when they don't get an opportunity, they don't get upset. They know their roles.
Well, Mariano Duncan is another one that was re-signed here. Tony Longmire has been outstanding, and it's a situation where you have to really understand what your role is. You know that if Jeffrey's healthy, there's not going to be an awful lot of playing time. So mental preparation is really important. There's Jeffries, who's got that injured thumb, and he was slated to be the everyday left fielder, but he's unable to go right now.
And they don't know when he's going to be back. He's due to come off in a week, but they think it could be longer than that. 1-1 pitch to Gallagher, off speed that he fouls it back. We're looking at more of the Phillies bench. Randy Reddy. You know, I had a good talk with Varsho before the game, and he says this reminds him very much of the type of club that Jim Leyland and Pittsburgh assembled in 1991, when guys like McClendon and Varsho was a member, Webster was there for half the year, and on and on. That everyone knew their role, and there'd be a time that you'd get in, whether you started or just a pinch hit. And they have Rivard. Reynolds was more of a, he'd play each outfield position 1 day a week. So that 91 Pirate team, which of course won the pennant, just reminds you of that. Count is 2-2 to Dave Gallagher. Entrepreneur, right? The stride, what is it? A device that helps you stride correctly in the batter's box?
I think it's called the Stride Master, something like that, to cut down that overstride.
Count is 3-2.
Now here's a guy that has performed much better here at the Vet. Everybody talks about this being a real good hitter's ballpark because it's a good hitting background. It's really not that big a ballpark. The ball carries very well in the alley, so hitters love to hit in this ballpark.
Gallagher will foul it back, so Hollins will return. The stride tutor is the correct name of it. Vet Stadium at Philadelphia, which, by the way, will be the site of next year's All-Star Game. 20 years after it was the site of the bicentennial All-Star Game. One of those parks built in the early 70s, very much like Three Rivers and Riverfront and Busch Stadium. 330 down the lines, 408 to dead center. Foul back, so Hollins will return. A lot of people surprised who's coming here before Coors Field, which won't get it till 98. And Joe Robbie Stadium, which will get it in 2000. They alternate American League and National League parks for the All-Star Game. Some new seats here, of course, at the Vet. Skied. Brett Boone calls for it, although it ends up being right in front of Barry Larkin. And he makes the play. So the Phillies strand one. We've played a pair here at Philadelphia. No score between the Phils and the Reds.
Have you had your break today? We all need to get away. There's one place that's on your way. McDonald's is your break today. Have you had your break today? Easy does it McDonald's way. Taste the place of smiling face. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Have you had your break today?
The first time you go out with someone, you want everything to be right.
Every time he gets close, I just want to get closer.
It's all right to sweat when we're working out, but when we're close,
Cute or not, if he smells, it's over.
Get a little closer with Arid Double X, the anti-odor antiperspirant. Arid Double X helps keep you extra, extra dry.
I trust Arid.
Somewhere men are laughing. And somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Maybe they should have traded him for Bonds.
Piazza reacting to his game-winning home run Monday night against the Pods. And you'll see the Padres at the Dodgers immediately following this game as we go out to Chavez Ravine and join Dwayne Stats Inc. and Dave Soup Campbell. That's following this one here at the Vet. The Dodgers know that with the Rockies losing, they are back into a flat-footed tie for first place, and with a win tonight, can move into first place by their lonesome. And the Padres know they can inch closer to first. The Pods over 500 late for them. Late? Hadn't been that way for a while.
Starting to play a little bit better as all of the parts are starting to come together. Kevin Caminiti is hitting the long ball.
The Rockies losing to the Giants in extra innings today, 2-1. All four of those teams in the West. I don't think anyone's going to run away with that thing. That'd be a great race. Brett Boone, Jeff Branson, C.J. Nitkowski, 7-8-9 for the Reds. Brett Boone, one of those trades engineered by the young general manager Jim Bowden that really has worked wonders. Not to say that Bobby Ayala sending him up to Seattle, that Ayala hasn't become a very good pitcher, but they got Boone and Eric Hansen for Ayala and Dan Wilson in November of '93. Boone last year hit .320, way behind that pitch by Schilling. Schilling has the heater working tonight, Buck. That's 3 straight strikeouts.
Well, not only is he throwing it with good velocity, but watch the location of it. Dalton goes to the outside. Look how Schilling delivers right on the outside corner at the knees, and he's got 4 strikeouts already. It's not an overpowering fastball. That one just 86 miles an hour, but it's a combination of location and velocity that's so effective early.
And then along came Branson. Jeff Branson is playing third base. He steps to the plate, 28 years of age. Remember the '88 Olympic team, one of the least heralded ones, yet he was on the squad. Second round pick of the Reds back in 1988. And with the demise of Green at third base, the third base spot kind of open there for the Cincinnati Reds. There's another position like first base. They've used a handful of folks. Lenny Harris has played there. Another strikeout for Curt Schilling.
That's 4 in a row, and this time he goes to that split finger pitch. Got good movement down and away from Branson. Tell you one thing, Curt Schilling is really in a groove. Watch the movement. Pow! Explodes down and away from him.
So Schilling will now pitch to C.J. Nitkowski, who has yet to garner his first major league hit. We were joking before the game that maybe when he gets the hit out of the way, then the pitching will really be easy for him. His coach said, with Nitkowski standing right there, as his high school coach says, you may have to wait a while. But we'll see. You know, that was just him ribbing him. Schilling isn't waiting at all at this at-bat. Throwing 3 quick pitches. The count is 1-2. Struck out the side, did Curt Schilling. 5 straight strikeouts, 6 in 3 innings of work. Standing O from the crowd for Curt Schilling, scoreless to the bottom of the third.
Lean on me.
You're smart and capable. People lean on you to get things done. But when you're selling your home, who do you lean on? Call a Century 21 professional.
Dear car owners, a local mechanic could take days to get the muffler that's made for your car or truck, but Midas has mufflers that fit thousands of foreign and domestic cars and trucks. And we can usually do the job in less than an hour. That's the Midas way, the way it should be.
You're beautiful. You're everything I ever wanted.
If you love your car, what you put on it should be more than just a wax. New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish protects your finish with beeswax and shines with rare Brazilian carnauba. Safe, naturally derived ingredients, so pure, powerful, perfect.
Oh, so beautiful.
New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish.
Today in local sports, the poor Sheffield Tigers lost 42-3 to the Wakeman Lions, and they're taking it pretty hard. They may never recover from this one, folks. Davy Johnson couldn't connect all day, little Bobby Emerson couldn't find the plate, and even Big John Burke couldn't score.
At today's Pizza Hut, your pizza's right or it's free, guaranteed.
With 43 games left, team spirit's at an all-time low.
Pizza Hut, year after year, America's favorite pizza place.
Late deal in the National League. The Cubs swapped catchers with Houston. Rick Wilkins, who 2 years ago hit 30 home runs, but has the second lowest average in the league, is now an Astro. Luis Gonzalez, second on Houston in RBIs, comes over to Chicago with Scott Service. Back to the vet.
All right, Gary, thank you. Well, so Luis Gonzalez. The kids at school's out. Cotton candy sales are up.
I think that trade to the Cubs is very good. Luis Gonzalez is a fine player, as is Scott Service.
Well, we'll chew on that trade for a while, as will you at home. And Kevin Stocker steps up, 8-9-1 for the Philadelphia Phillies. The cheering you just might have heard in the background, the 76ers just chose Stackhouse from North Carolina. We're talking Rasheed Wallace here. They got a Tar Heel. And so that was fans following along on the scoreboard, just alerted them with a basketball team playing right across the parking lot as they build a new arena too, which is also right across the parking lot. They'll have Stackhouse here next year. And there you go. You bring the kids. Your dad catches a ball. Here you go. Huh? I love you, Dad. think I'll keep the ball. That's nice. He grabbed that. Stocker was below the Mendoza line for a while, hitting .325 his last 12 games. So he's picked it up. His first couple of years here in the majors, his lifetime average was .298. So for Fregosi, he wasn't worried. He figured it was a matter of time. There you go. This year he's hitting at .220.
Well, Fregosi loves Stocker's makeup and his instincts defensively in the field. Fregosi, of course, was a fine shortstop in his career, as was Larry Boa. They're really high on Stocker defensively.
Yeah, Stocker certainly has some people he can turn to for some advice.
Dennis Menke's not bad either.
No, their coaching staff is shortstop heavy.
There's Dennis Menke, who also serves as the hitting coach, but he was a fine shortstop with the Braves.
Foul back by Stocker, so the count remains full. Now pitching with a lot of poise tonight is C.J. Nitkowski. He's 22 years old and coming off a rough outing, but he seemed relaxed before the game, and we're seeing it now during the game, Buck. And just as we say it, he relaxes Stocker and gets him swinging. There is one out. Strikeout number 2 for Nitkowski.
Well, Nitkowski has been all around the plate himself tonight, and right there he goes to the outside corner, gets the strikeout. Kevin Stocker put up a tough battle, fouled off a couple of close pitches, but then went down swinging. Second strikeout for Nitkowski.
Nitkowski will face his opposite, Curt Schilling. A sharp ground ball gathered in by Brett Boone, and there's 2 outs.
Nitkowski has a very good mentor in Don Gullett, former flamethrower for the Reds. Later on went to the Yankees, hurt his arm in '78 with New York, but he is one of those guys that loves to talk fastball. He said, you know, fastball is the most important pitch in baseball. You throw everything else off your fastball, and you've got to establish it. I don't care if it is only 84, 85 miles an hour. It's still a very important pitch.
The top of the order, Lenny Dykstra. Dykstra missed some time with the back injury that may end up bothering him for the rest of his life. I mean, this has been more than just, okay, he's hurt this year. And that's also something that he and his doctors and the Phillies will have to examine. And if he rests it, will it not bother him for the rest of his life, or is that really the way it's going to go? There are a lot of things, that many of which that a lot of people don't have the answers for right now.
Well, you see how important he is to this Phillies ball club. 23-11 with Lenny in the lineup, 14-8. They've been able to overcome his absence with some of the depth on their bench this year.
For the first time ever, I might add.
Well, they went out and added Andy Van Slyke, too, to play center field, and eventually he may become the everyday center fielder. But right now, Van Slyke is on the DL.
On the DL, naturally.
There's Slick. He's had a tough run. He was on the DL twice in Baltimore before he came over here to the Phillies.
Ripped to right field, but gets under it. So Reggie Sanders backpedals toward the warning track, makes the catch, and another 1-2 3 for C.J. Nitkowski. We've played 3 pitchers duel, no score.
An important study was presented at a national sports medicine conference. It shows that for the sore muscles occurring the day after a strenuous workout, Advil provides superior relief to extra-strength Tylenol. It's strong and fast. If you exercise regularly, you should know that more doctors recommend Advil than any other pain reliever for all types of muscle aches. For next-day soreness, Advil just works better than Tylenol. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
It's powerful enough to reduce cooling bills by up to 40%. Strong enough to move 9,500 cubic feet of air per minute. Still, the Hunter ceiling fan is the quietest thing in the room. Hunter, quiet for life.
Around here, Homes have to stand up to some harsh weather. That's why there's Cuprinol siding stain. It's a wood preservative. Thompson's and Olympics house stains are not. Wood preservatives make the difference. Compare labels and see. Cuprinol siding stain penetrates deep into wood to fight rot, mildew, and decay. Repels water, too. When it's wood against weather, trust Cuprinol.
Top of the fourth inning, just one hit in the ball game. Curt Schilling has been outstanding. He has had a good fastball. He's pitched ahead all night right there. Uses it to get Ronnie Gant. That was the end of the first inning, and then blows away Eric Anthony with a fastball. Then he's got Taubensee, fastball inside. Right here, Brett Boone, look at the target. Outside, blows him away. That's number 4. There's a splitter to get out Jeff Bramson, and then he finishes off the run with 5 strikeouts in a row. That was the pitcher, C.J. Nikowski, and he has really gotten in a groove. 7 first pitch strikes to the first 9 batters of this ball game.
Now he'll face the top of the order, Barry Larkin, Thomas Howard, and Ron Gant. So 5 straight strikeout Schilling's working on. His high this year, 12 strikeouts in 7 innings of work back on May 17th in Florida. I told you that Barry Larkin, playing with a really hideous looking thumb injury, took off the batting glove and showed me, and my stomach did a little turn, but it doesn't bother him throwing at all. I don't say it doesn't bother him at the bat, but it's his top hand. It's his right hand, which is control hand, so that's part of the reason why he is scuffled at the plate. And he grounds to Duncan, over to Hollins, and Larkin is grounded to 4-3 twice.
Well, you see right there on that swing that he didn't have much to really drive the ball with. He kind of drugged that bat through the hitting zone and hit it off the end of the bat. You can see he's concerned about it. He wants the things to turn around a little more quickly than they have been. Watch the swing. They set up outside. They're going to throw him a fastball, and there's just no drive to it. You see how he's kind of feeling for it. He really didn't get after that ball.
Barry has had some bad luck, hadn't he? Injuries to his career. Well, you talk about as good a player as there is, and you're looking at him right now, Barry Larkin. Thomas Howard, who grounded in short his first time up. Barry was injured, remember, one time, Buck, in 1989. It was during the skills competition at the All-Star game, just making a relay throw from the outfield to the plate, and it ended his '89 season. Just a routine turn.
And after that, they eliminated the skills competition.
Well, Barry was certainly going to eliminate it himself.
Now they only have the home run contest.
Schilling now is 3-0, and so a rare occurrence that he's behind the hitter. In there for a strike, says home plate umpire Paul Runge. As you look at the draft picks there's Jerry Stackhouse. Rasheed Wallace, his Carolina teammate, went to the Bullets right after. There you go. There's the youngster. That was kind of the wild card there. Kevin Garnett, of Minnesota. Well, the T-Wolves have had some interesting history with their first-round picks. Will this be more of the same, or will it be totally different? Base hit for Thomas Howard. The first hit of the night off Curt Schilling.
Schilling fell behind, 3 balls and no strikes, pounded a couple of fastballs in there, but watch the swing by Thomas Howard. A high fastball. He puts a good swing on it, strokes it into left field. First time Schilling had really gotten himself in a hole, falling behind 3-0.
And he paid for it. This is Ron Gant, who was the first of the 6 strikeouts in the game for Schilling. Ron Gant, people forget because they all know about the dirt bike accident in February a year ago, and his Braves elected to just pay 1/6 of his salary and let him go, and eventually signing with the Reds, and made a deal that if he was on the opening day roster, it was over $3 million. If he wasn't on the opening day roster, $500,000. But so obviously, after missing the entire season, Gant, who skies it, will probably be comeback player of the year. He won that once before. But we'll talk about that after we check in with Gary Miller.
Chris, the only other evening action in the National League is a Joe Robbie. Brett Saberhagen with Andre Dawson aboard, and Kurt Abbott is now just 1 shy of his career high in homers. That's number 8. They went up 3-0. The Mets have gotten one back as Florida bats in the bottom of the 5th. Back to you.
Well, that was even over the potted plants. Always intriguing Mets-Marlins matchups, as the Marlins have forged past the Mets, have they not?
I think they have.
Reggie Sanders at the plate with Howard at first. The ball gets by Hollins. That'll roll to the tarp. Howard making a big turn. He'll head for third. Hollins throw. Wide of Hayes. Howard will come home. And the Reds are ahead 1-0 on an errant pickoff attempt for Curt Schilling.
Let me tell you something. Thomas Howard did a great job. Schilling tried to pick him off at first base, but once the ball got by Dave Hollins, Howard challenged the arm of Hollins because Hollins has always had trouble throwing. Right there, the throw is into the base runner, but Hollins had a play on it. Now you see Howard sizing up the situation as he looks at the ball down on the warning track and then challenges the arm of Hollins, who's always had trouble throwing. That's why they moved him over to first base. Dave Gallagher goes to his knee and he sees the base runner going home but can't do anything about it.
So here Schilling has everything in control, and then an errant pickoff throw, which Hollins will be charged for 2 errors. One that allowed the runner to go from first to third. I guess that was the 2-base error. The throwing error will allow the runner to score. And Schilling didn't think that Howard would go for third because he wasn't backing up there in time. And it took a funny hop off the tarp, or Gallagher didn't have a chance on it. So kind of a weird way to manufacture a run, but the Reds will take it, and they have a 1-0 lead. 0-2 pitch to Sanders, and now Schilling gets back to it and strikes out the hitter with the most RBIs in the National League. But an intriguing play gives the Reds a 1-0 lead.
My wish is to visit my grandparents on their farm and pet the cats and ride the horse and just be able to see them.
My wish is to meet the Golden State Warriors basketball team. I like dinner.
These kids aren't asking for very much. Please, help us give it to them.
People say thanks, Hank, a lot. They say thanks, Hank, for the great tires. The price was right. The tires are terrific. They feel good. I hear thanks, Hank, my tires lasted 60,000 miles. You've been taking care of my car. It's the first time I got that kind of wear. Our Goodyear tires are not expensive. I can sell you a Goodyear tire for as little as you can buy the least expensive off-brand tire in the market. Just come in and I'll show you how we can do that.
A flower is perfect in every way. You, however, could use some work. The Soloflex Muscle Machine. 32 real weightlifting exercises with none of the hassles of free weights. Call now for a free brochure and video.
Let me ask you something honestly. You think this game has really gotten better since the old days?
There seems to be some sort of commotion.
What, are you kidding me?
And here comes Morgana. Oh, my goodness. She is flying down that third baseline.
The Reds, in a bizarre circumstance, lead the Phillies 1-0 as Dave Hollins gets charged with 2 errors. One on a missed throw, one on his overthrow at third, and then a third error, knocking over the water bucket in the dugout.
Well, it's just his second game back. Curt Schilling went for the pickoff trying to catch Thomas Howard leaning at first base. The throw got away from Dave Hollins, and then his throw to third base in an attempt to shoot down Howard at third got away from Charlie Hayes, and Thomas Howard came in to score the only run of the game.
Duncan, Eisenreich, and Hollins, 2-3-4 here against C.J. Nitkowski in the Phillies' 4th. Duncan struck out the first time he saw the youngster. Mariano Duncan made the All-Star team a year ago. A former Cincinnati Red. And he quickly works the count to 3-0. Kowski hits the inside corner. It's strike one. Came up with the Dodgers, did Duncan, and went to Cincinnati in '89 in a trade that involved Lenny Harris going the other way to the Dodgers. Harris now back at Cincinnati. Everything is cyclical. Duncan with a base hit. The Phillies' second of the night.
Mariano Duncan was a late sign in spring training. He was down at Homestead. He was one of those free agents, and the Phillies brought him back because he is so versatile. He's very good against left-handed pitchers. He can play a lot of different positions, and right here, he hits a good pitch from Nikowski. He's got to duck out of the way. Looked like Duncan may have been jammed a bit, but still had enough on it to fight it off and hit it into center field.
So Duncan on first, and Jim Eisenreich hits a scorcher to short. Larkin, Boone, but they do not turn the two. Duncan went it awfully hard. Boone didn't get the mustard on the throw, and Eisenreich went down the line pretty well.
Yeah, all of the combinations weren't really good for the Reds to turn two, because watch Barry Larkin, how far he has to go to his right to make a play. Eisenreich goes the other way, and it's an off-balance toss to Brett Boone, who tries to turn it in a hurry, but Jim Eisenreich, hustling down the line, beats it easily.
And I guess you can tell we're in Philadelphia when they announced Dave Hollins is coming to the plate and they booed him. I mean, yeah, he's just come off weight loss of 15 pounds with complications from diabetes, just back in the lineup. Oh, Boone to Larkin. But Anthony can't handle the return throw. My goodness, Brett Boone in the hole to almost turn the two. But those Larkin and Boone together, pretty good combo, although they didn't turn either DP in this particular instance.
Watch the range of the second baseman, Boone. He goes to his right and then turns and fires to Barry Larkin, who goes down and digs it out and almost turns an outstanding double play. Eric Anthony is camped out at first base. Look at the throw down from the side. There's a little movement on it. It's wide of the mark, and Anthony can't connect. He had too much tail on that ball.
I think a guy that plays first base more often than Anthony might have been able to shuffle the feet, as the foot was on the far side of the bag from the plate. He just shuffle it over to the near side. He might have had enough room to make the stretch. Tough play, though, when everything's happening that quickly. Great play by Boone, who has gone, 69 straight games without making an error at second base, dating back to July of last season.
Well, when you have that kind of range, too, you're going to have some tough chances, just like that throw to second base. So when you think of the consecutive errorless streak, you must be impressed, because Boone goes after everything. He's very aggressive.
Dalton ripped down the line, and Anthony's there for that one. And so the Phillies strand a runner. We've played 4 here at the vet. The Reds lead it behind the youngster, 1-0.
It's true, AT&T and MCI rates are about the same. But with AT&T, you get superior sound quality, better service, and simpler ways to save on more of your calls. With AT&T, you get more for your money. Your true choice, AT&T.
Tired of the way water sealers let your wood turn gray? We have news for you. Introducing Olympic Natural Look Protector Plus. It waterproofs, plus it's guaranteed to prevent graying for a minimum of 2 years. If your wood's already gray, cleaning first with Olympic Deck Cleaner is fast and easy. Then let Natural Look Protector Plus keep it looking natural, like no water sealer can. Guaranteed. Natural Look Protector Plus from Olympic.
Work boots. There's one place they don't work. Inside, they just don't have much cushioning. Dr. Scholl's Maximum Comfort work insoles give you 100% more cushioning. They make work easier on your feet.
Sinbad puts it on catfish. Anne Rice, scrambled eggs. Dan Aykroyd, everything humans can consume. So what do you put it on? Yow! Tabasco.
Oui, monsieur. You know, this is all in French. Oui, monsieur. Well, I'll have that. Oh, poulet cordon bleu, très bien.
Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, is always looking for delicious new ideas.
Boy, this would be great on a toasted Kaiser bun.
And so Wendy's chicken cordon bleu sandwich was born with a whole breast filet ham, Swiss, and Grey Poupon Dijon mustard.
And for dessert? I have that. Monsieur has ordered the Kocek roux.
Wendy's chicken cordon bleu. Order it with fries and a drink.
Just listen. In the background, you can hear the Platters. It's twilight time, and the Reds lead the Phillies 1-0 in the top of the fifth. That'd be about twilight time with Sunday night baseball, one of the best rivalries, certainly Midwest, certainly in all of baseball. The Cardinals at the Cubs. Bernard Henderson, until proven guilty, great hitter on the road. Mark, amazing grace for the Cubs. It's 28 doubles, on a pace to break the National League record of 64 doubles. The record set by Ducky Medwick in 1936. We'll see what happens on Sunday night. First pitch, we've seen what happened right here against Curt Schilling. Eric Anthony, fly ball to left field. Yeah, they give us all this information about the Sunday night game in one pitch, and we're already behind. But you can watch Sunday night baseball at 7:56 Eastern time. We should play that number in a lotto. I don't know how we came up with that start time, but that's what time we start the games, right after baseball tonight, which begins at 7:20 Eastern time. Swinging at the first pitch and hitting it to left field is Eddie Taubensee. Very economical start for Curt Schilling. Are you still with me, Buck?
Yeah, he has been ahead all night long. He's had a lot of confidence in that fastball, and he is pounding the strike zone. I tell you, I really like the fact that he's keeping things simple. You know, sometimes pitchers give the hitters too much credit and try to make perfect pitches early in the count, and I think that's what really leads to trouble.
Brett Boone takes the pitch for a strike. Well, he's exuding confidence out there, isn't he, Buck, as you mentioned. 0-2.
One right after another. Good fastball on the outside corner, and he has been 0-2 all night long.
But can't come up with it as Kevin Stocker, and Brett Boone will be aboard with the second Reds hit of the evening. So Boone aboard with 2 out here in the Cincinnati fifth. And
good at bat by Boone as he got behind 0-2. Kevin Stocker tries to flag it down with a dive, but it sneaks under his glove.
Jeff Branson up, who was the fourth in Schilling's string of 5 strikeouts between the second and third innings. That one got away from him. Dalton had to pop up and make the play inside and high. Only run of the game came, if you're just tuning in, and the Reds' last at bat, and a seemingly innocuous single by Thomas Howard, the first of the game. Schilling's toss was errant, although Hollins, the first baseman, got charged with an error. Howard ran all the way to third. Hollins' throw got by Charlie Hayes, and Howard kept coming home. 2 errors on Hollins. That's the only run we've had. I can't believe he was booed. I mean, I really can't. I can.
That surprises you?
No, I mean, if they boo the Easter Bunny here, they'll boo Dave Hollins. But he's been sick. He's just back. He hits cleanup. He's a heart and soul guy. Pitch misses outside. Count is 2-2.
Now, the situation here in Philadelphia is the fact that Phillies fans know they got a chance to win again, and they hate to see Dave Hollins make those 2 errors when Curt Schilling is on a roll. Remember, Schilling has struck out 7, and we're just in the 5th inning. Only 2 hits so far, but that double error by Hollins led to the only run of the game.
Rip between Hayes and Stocker into left field, and all of a sudden, with 2 out, the Reds have put together back-to-back singles. Boone and Branson with the singles. The runners at first and second for the pitcher, C.J. Nitkowski. Nitkowski has only batted 5 5 times. He's 0 for 5 in his major league career. Waves at that one, strike 1.
Yeah, that swing's not going to put fear in Schilling's heart, that's for sure.
If you're going to give up 2 singles, you might as well see a swing like that for the next batter. But you never know. Misses is Paul Runge behind the plate. Ed Rapuano, by the way, at first base tonight. Jerry Lane at second. Dana DeMuth, the ump at third. Strike 2.
When you saw that graphic, just 17 balls from Schilling all night long, and that's confidence. You got to be confident to throw the ball over that many times.
Just missed outside. Count is 2-2. 2 on, 2 out. 1-0 Cincinnati.
That ball just moved off the plate out at the end.
Blew it past him. 8 strikeouts for Schilling, and this one strands a pair. Heading to the bottom of the 5th. Cotton candy for everybody. 1-0 Reds.
The Krylon touch
means making the old look new.
The Krylon touch.
And the boring becomes beautiful. Show your true colors.
Don't just paint, give it the Krylon touch.
Only with Krylon.
At Kelly Springfield, we've been making tires for more than 100 years. And at our age, some might suggest we're over the hill. They're absolutely right. Kelly Springfield, America's oldest tire company.
To create the perfect home office, you need a printer, a scanner, a fax modem, a plain paper fax, a copier, and a telephone. Or the new multi-pass document processing system from Canon. It's the 6 most important pieces of office equipment next to your PC, plus software to run it. With a few clicks of your mouse, you can fax and print and scan and phone. It even makes copies. Multipass is everything you need next to your PC. Everything.
In the middle of my workday, I don't do power lunches. I do power lifts. And when you work out this hard, you better use a deodorant that works hard too. That's why I use Speed Stick. It gives me 110% protection that lasts all day. And fortunately, all night. Because while I may not have time for lunches, I always manage to find some time for dinner.
Speed Stick, like you, it never quits. And try new Speed Stick Clear for clear protection that never quits.
5 minutes.
Texas and California come into the night tied for first place. Kenny Rogers on the mound, and there goes Jim Edmonds. Now 22-game hit streak now. He's batting .400 in this span. That's home run number 11. Salmon has hit one as well. 2-0 California. Back to Boomer and Buck.
All right, Gary, thank you. So the Phillies fans, young and old, hoping that their club can hit like Jim Edmonds has been doing with the Angels. But what a story they have been with guys, a lot of youngsters just really meshing under the tutelage of Marcel Lachman. Speaking of youngsters, C.J. Nitkowski has certainly meshed thus far tonight, Buck.
Boy, look what he's done. In the first inning, 11 pitches, then 12, 13, and 9. 45 pitches through 4 innings. That's great use of his pitches. He has been working both sides of the plate. Unlike Curt Schilling, he's not what you would call an overpowering pitcher, but he relies on movement and finesse. That's a good fastball.
Yes, it was. Charlie Hayes behind that one. The count is 1-1. Charlie Hayes has played every inning of every game this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. His second tour of duty with this ball club. Swings at that one, and that was a... Is that knuckle curve?
That's the changeup, the circle change he'll use. It's got a little bit of movement. It takes it down and away from the right-handed hitters. Watch how Hayes is out on the front foot as he waves at that changeup. Good location there. Tried it again.
Hayes' defense, we've talked about it all evening, and you cannot underscore what he has meant to the Phillies. Just knowing as Nitkowski made him look foolish at that at-bat. He really worked him pretty good, didn't he, Bob? The defense has been great, but the offense in that particular occasion against Nitkowski, not strong. Dave Gallagher, the left fielder, will come up, and while he's in left tonight because Greg Jeffries is on the DL, and well, he joins a cast of thousands for the Phillies.
Well, they've had a lot of problems here. Van Slyke has missed 7 games with that chest bruise. Munoz, Green, and David West, starters, have really been absent. Green and Munoz haven't pitched at all. And David West is just now back. Andy Van Slyke was traded for when they felt like they needed some defensive depth. But he has since been injured here. Hit a home run in his first game as a Philly.
You saw the pitchers that you were speaking about. Both are pitching now in the minors on rehab. Bobby Munoz has not been encouraging. And Tommy Green, so-so, just starting out.
Yeah, neither Jim Fregosi nor Johnny Padres are very optimistic about getting either Munoz or Green back anytime soon.
West has pitched just once, but Jim is being very tentative with him and missing him on. And there's Johnny Padres, of course. And Fregosi and Padres together, that's as good a combination as it gets. Hence the best ERA in the majors.
Boy, Johnny Padres, I believe, should get more credit for what he's done with this team this year. They started the season with really a makeshift pitching staff, and he has really done a great job of keeping things simple. Mike Mims, who lost here last night, has been outstanding. And look at the ERA for Padres and his pitching staff. Tops in the National League.
Ripped to third, handled by Jeff Branson across the diamond to Anthony, and Gallagher is gone. Never gone, Gary Miller.
When we take it to Fenway Park, Zane Smith in trouble in the 5th. The Jays have just tied it at 1. Paul Molitor hitting under 100 during this 8-game losing streak. Knocks in Lance Parrish. The Jays have the bases loaded, and they're up 2-1. Back to you.
Been an intriguing series thus far. The Red Sox winning it in the 9th, and then in extra innings in the first 2 games of that series. Walking there for both of those games. Good baseball. They're excited at Fenway, and they should be. This is Kevin Stocker hitting it pretty well to center field, but Thomas Howard has plenty of room, makes the catch. And C.J. Nitkowski is throwing goose eggs at the NL East leaders through 5. We'll be back with Larkin to lead off.
They were robbed.
No.
Don't let this happen to you.
All that money?
Robbed blind by an energy thief. Protect yourself with the Weathermaker from Carrier, the world's leading brand. It's the most energy-efficient air conditioner around. It'll save you up to 60% on your cooling costs.
60%? Wow. Hey, the Mitchells are getting new gutters.
Call your Carrier dealer. It'd be a crime to call anyone else.
Over 1 million people each week walk into AutoZone, and taking care of them means having what they need when they need it. That means stocking a lot of parts for a lot of cars. Now, nobody can stock everything, but we stock more than most. And how do we know which ones to carry? That's easy. We listen to our customers, because nobody knows better about what you want than you. So the next time you walk through that door, you might think of yourself as a customer, but we think of you as the boss.
Many sports cars pack a great deal of power. Unfortunately, they don't leave much room to pack anything else. Introducing the new Nissan 200 SX, a sports car with a 140 horsepower engine up front and a big honkin' trunk in back. And now, for a limited time, the 200 SX is available with low 2.9% APR financing.
Domino's deep dish always gets. And how was quite a reaction.
Your day, Mom.
Oh, just?
Peachy. I won the big spelling bee. This is one deep pizza.
It's Domino's
Ultimate Deep Dish.
We're talking deep like never before. Now for just $9.99, get a medium deep dish. Zesty, golden, thick crust, real cheese, and up to 3 toppings, just $9.99. And delivery's free.
Woof, woof. Ultimate Deep Dish.
That's been an extremely good pitchers duel thus far between C.J. Nitkowski and Curt Schilling, and the youngster has the better of the veteran thus far. 1-0 the Reds over the Phillies, and there's the Only 5 hits. Combined 10 innings of work off of these two, and Schilling with the 8 strikeouts. Both have had command of their pitches tonight.
I think the biggest thing for both of them has been the fact that they've been ahead. They've thrown the ball over. They've taken away some of the aggressiveness of the hitters, and both Schilling and Nikowski have been in command all night long.
Top of the Reds' order here in the 6th inning. Barry Larkin, Thomas Howard, Ron Extravagant. Larkin has grounded to second base both trips to the plate. Larkin got a better rip at that one, but gets under it. Short center field. Dykstra coming on, and Lenny makes the catch, and there's one out. So Larkin continues to struggle at the plate since coming off the DL a week and a half ago.
Well, what happens when you're in a batting slump is you have a tendency to expand your strike zone, and right now Barry Larkin has really lost his patience at the plate, so he's going to have to regroup again.
As we look at the other scores, many of them final from the afternoon, I find the most interesting as Thomas Howard looks at strike one. Most interesting is, Kansas City crept to within, what, 5.5 of Cleveland. Cleveland goes into Kansas City for the 3 games, and goodbye. Slaps them around and sweeps the series. It's beginning to look tribal, isn't it?
Well, today they beat Kevin Appier.
Yeah. Thomas Howard with a rip to left field, and for Howard, his second base hit of the night.
Second base hit, second up and away fastball that he got from Curt Schilling. They might want to change their pitching designs on Thomas Howard. There you see Darren Dalton set up. He wants it down, but you see it's up about belt high, and Howard jumps all over it. Second hit in as many trips. Good flat swing, and he strokes it into left field.
Now, will Howard dance more than usual, knowing what happened the last time, that the throw got away from Hollins, trying to draw another one?
He's got a big lead over there.
That's how the Reds scored their run in the 4th. Just an errant pickoff attempt by Schilling off the glove of Hollins for 1 error. Howard hustling into third. The throw from Hollins wide of Charlie Hayes. Howard continued home. It's like the old base running drills you do in Little League. Just keep going unless the ball gets there. It's exactly the situation. A single with 1 out. Ron Gant, we started to say his last at bat, I mean, he's going to be a lock for comeback player of the year this year after his dirt bike accident last year. But people forget he came up as a second baseman with the Braves in the late 80s and was sent back down to the minors by the manager Russ Nixon after he tried third base his second year, then came back and a 1991 comeback player of the year. Can you win that award twice in 6 years?
Evidently.
Yeah.
If you have the kind of roller coaster career that Ronnie Gant's career has taken the last couple of years. You really got to admire the way he's worked hard to get back into playing shape, not only overcoming that horrible leg injury, but just the mental aspect of getting over the injury, because a lot of times you remember the pain, and it's a big hurdle to have to get over.
Skies this one. Is there room for Hollins or Dalton? No. Doink off the top of the dugout.
Well, Darren Dalton set up inside on that pitch. He wanted to really crowd Gant with the fastball. They may have gotten away with one there as that ball drifted out over the plate. Gant had a good hack at it. Watch Dalton in this target. He's way inside, and you see where Schilling throws it. Gant had a good rip that got underneath it and popped it out of play. It was interesting. Earlier in the game, I was in the locker room. Curt Schilling came in to talk to Johnny Padres about Ron Gant and his open stance. He wasn't real sure what Gant was looking for, hitting from such an exaggerated open stance. Padres said, well, throw the slider away, and if you feel good, come inside with the fastball.
Came inside with it, and Gant skies this one. Stocker going back. Hayes going back. Stocker makes the call and the catch. We make the call to Gary Miller.
Chris, a big inning for Toronto. John Olerud batting 130 during this 8-game losing streak. He goes off. James Smith with the bases juiced and 2 out. That's going to bring in Gonzalez and Molitor. They take a 4-1 lead. They do get Carter on a rundown, but the damage is done as the Red Sox come to bat in the 6th.
All right, Gary, thank you. Molitor and Olerud really, and you gave the averages, Gary, really part of the big reasons why well, there are many reasons, but the Jays are a far cry from the team that these Phillies played 2 years ago in the World Series. Nice play by Mo Ball there on the cutoff as Reggie Sanders fouls the first pitch back. You know, I look at the big stars and the big leaders of this team, the best players on the Reds, and you look at Ron Gant, and we've known him for years, and you look at Barry Larkin, we've known him for years. We're getting to know Reggie Sanders. They're all quiet. They all have great presence. They all have great work ethic. It's not a surprise that Gant fits right in with these guys and becomes one of the leaders. And I'm sure Reggie Sanders is learning a lot from Ron Gant by the way he comports himself.
Well, they're professionals. They have a job to do on the field, and there's no reason to talk about it. You just go out there and do your job. Ron Gant has always taken that approach. Barry Larkin has been the same way. And, you know, somewhat they reflect the personality of their manager. Davey Johnson is pretty low-keyed. He just sits back and watches his team go to work. He says, you know, this is the best group of players I've ever had. That's pretty interesting considering some of the teams he's managed, particularly in New York.
Considering all the years that he's managed. Some high cheese, as they call it, by Schilling to Reggie Sanders, and the count is 0-2. That was some serious Limburger, wasn't it?
He went upstairs, and Davey Johnson knows what Reggie Sanders can do.
Howard the leadoff first with 2 outs. Here he goes. Forget about it. Strike 3. 9 strikeouts for Curt Schilling. The Reds strand 1, heading to the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 Cincinnati.
What kind of fun can you have over the 4th at Six Flags Great Adventure? Fast fun, head-spinning, heart-skipping rides like the new Viper. Rockin' fun. With Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, the Tractors, and the Beach Boys. Gotham-sized fun. At the all-new Batman Forever Stunt Show. Explosive fireworks fun each night. Six Flags for all kinds of fun over the 4th. Free tickets when you buy one, especially marked cans of Coca-Cola Classic and Diet Coke.
At Curlin, we've treated our customers like family for over 49 years.
And is Rockland's exclusive Cadillac dealer.
We know the meaning of real family values.
It's the new Sedan DeVille at this low price.
Lease any Sedan DeVille from Curlin and will also include features such as a low jack retrieval system at no additional cost.
And it's only at Curlin Cadillac in Nanuet.
So join the family.
Today, let's get to our chair and go. And back and up.
Imagine an exercise this easy to do that actually does you some
and
good.
Feel the burn. And back and up. And back and up.
Introducing the SoloFlex Rocket. It gives you both an aerobic workout and builds muscle for permanent fat loss. And you can own it for less than you'd imagine. Call now for a free brochure and video.
When sports cream, when arms are sore, when legs ache, when muscles hurt. Why sports cream? Massaging sports cream in brings fast pain relief. No medicine-y smell, no odor. Why sports cream? Because it works.
Bottom of the 6th inning, the Phillies trying to get the termites out of the bat rack, because they've been only able to amass 2 hits thus far, and they're extremely, well, I had the segue working the last time. We didn't go with it. We will this time. Extreme games tomorrow night on ESPN, beginning at 7:30, ESPN2 at 10:30. And I know you want to see windsurfing finals, the men's and women's sport climb finals, and the skateboard high air finals. Chris and Susie and all the gang at Newport, Providence, and points beyond continue to bring you on ESPN and ESPN2 the extreme games as Curt Schilling looks at 2 pitches extremely out of the strike zone. The count is 2-0. The best part about the extreme games is the street luge course goes down the hill from Brown. Brown is on the east side of Providence, and downtown is straight down, and that's where it goes.
Have you ever gone down that hill?
Well, back in the old days, we used to sip a beverage or 2 in the winter and take a kitchen tray, and I probably went down a course just like that, Buck. Here's Curt Schilling with a base hit. So maybe the pitcher gets the batters going for Philadelphia.
Schilling gets things started here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Puts a good swing on that low fastball, takes it into right field. He's hustling down the line. You know, when pitchers hit those line drives to right, they got to hustle down there because right fielders will take a shot at first base trying to throw him out.
And Sanders has an arm good enough to do that. So Schilling has only the third base hit for the Phillies. And Lenny Dykstra is up. He's flown out to left field, thrown out to right field. And now he's going to fly out to center field. So a 7, an 8, and a 9 if you're scoring for Lenny Dykstra this far this evening.
All right, here Dykstra is thinking about trying to pull the ball. There's a big hole on the right side, but you can see he's frustrated by popping that ball up to center field. After Schilling led the inning off with a single to right, Dykstra had a big hole on the right side to shoot for. Tried to pull the ball on the ground, but got underneath it. Flies out to center.
That'll bring up Mariano Duncan. Off-speed pitch check swing. Anthony, Larkin, back to Nitkowski, but he's not on the base.
Well, there's another example of a player out of position in Eric Anthony. He's an outfielder by trade, and he had to double clutch that ball. He couldn't come out of his glove cleanly with it, and that hesitation cost them a possible double play. Once the first baseman, as he breaks off the bag, goes to his right, spears the ball, and then double clutches his throw to Barry Larkin. The relay, not in time. You see, Nitkowski wasn't even close to the base, but that little hesitation by Anthony cost him, and you can hardly blame him. We mentioned the injury problems at first base, and they have had 8 different first basemen over there this year.
Well, a quick toss, and Duncan has to dive back in. This brings up Jim Eisenreich. It's interesting that Eisenreich, as well as he's hitting, and that's a .373 despite the 0 for 2 thus far tonight. A few times he's hit third in the lineup. I mean, you would think with the injuries at Jeffrey's spot that Eisenreich would be hitting there more, but Jim Fregosi is very cognizant of the fact that he needs protection for Dalton. Hence, Eisenreich usually will hit at 6. Hayes is hitting at 6 tonight.
Hayes, the right-handed batter behind Dalton, so that forces Nitkowski to work to Dalton. Not wanting to pitch around Dalton, to have Charlie Hayes come up, considering the fact that Hayes leads his ball club in RBIs.
1-0 Cincinnati, bottom of the 6th here at the Vet. Strike call. Boy, his poise is just impressive.
I was thinking the same thing. Boy, he looks like he's in a rocking chair out there tonight. Mind you, this is just his 4th major league start, and he's coming off a rough outing against the Atlanta Braves last time. Just 65 pitches here into the 6th inning.
Well, for those tuning in late, again, who is C.J. Nitkowski? He's the #1 pick of the team last year. As Buck detailed, he worked exclusively with Double-A Chattanooga last season, went 6-3, and then moved his way on up, and here he is in late June pitching for a first-place team against another first-place team. 6 foot 390 pounds, born in Suffern, New York. Went to high school in Ramsey, New Jersey. And that one got away from him, and he punts Eisenreich, and now the Phillies have 2 on.
That's a real tough situation for him with 2 down to hit the left-hander Jim Eisenreich, and he's trying to come inside, but watch how the ball gets away from him. It's Eisenreich right in the hip, and that's real bad news given the fact that Dave Hollins is stepping to the plate, and the switch hitter has much more power from the right side. That got Don Gullett, the pitching coach, out of his seat there in the Reds dugout.
So with 2 runners aboard now for the Phillies, Duncan is the runner at second base and Eisenreich at first. Here's a chance for Dave Hollins to atone for his fielding miscues in the 4th inning. Hollins against left-handers hitting 192 going into the game. No, read that wrong. As a righty is hitting 381. As a lefty is hitting 192.
This is his natural side. From the right side, he's got tremendous power.
And he's 1 for 2 tonight.
He has not been productive in these situations, hitting a .150 with runners on base. But he would love to hit one here.
Off-speed pitch, he chops it foul. That is 1-2. Same count of which Eisenreich was hit.
Well, he's got to try to do the same thing here. If he's going to throw the fastball inside, he's got to miss off the plate. Hollins is a pretty good off-speed hitter, and if I were going to throw him the changeup, I would make sure that it is down and off the plate as well. He's got good coverage outside.
Fouls this one back. Count remains the same.
Got the ball in on his hands. Davey Johnson talking things over with his bench lieutenant, Ray Knight. Johnson has said all along, I talk over everything with Ray Knight. It's good to have two opinions, two different viewpoints. Talking about defensive positioning right there. I think we got that guy in the right spot.
Off-speed rip, but foul.
See how he's on that off-speed pitch with 2 strikes. He really concentrates to protect out over the plate. Take a look at this. Is a high curveball away from him, and look how he gets on top of it. He stroked it out of play. After that pitch, the catcher Taubensee went out to have a chat with Nikowski. Something along the lines of, hey, let's don't do that anymore. Flirting with danger there.
1-2 pitch all over again. Came inside. Hollins frozen. Rallied, gone. Boo Birds out. We've played 6 at Philadelphia, 1-0 Cincinnati.
Now you can see all the excitement and adventure of the Congo in your local theater. Or you can taste it at Taco Bell. Introducing the Volcano Burrito, piled high with seasoned beef, beans, rice, a blend of 3 cheeses, and flowing with fiery red sauce. If you're hungry for excitement, get the new Volcano Burrito at Taco Bell. But hurry, at just 99 cents, a taste eruption like this won't be active for long.
So have you met any of the athletes who'll be staying here? The skateboarders, sky surfers?
No, but I am sure they are very nice, polite young people, and we'll get along just fine.
The Extreme Games, sponsored in part by Miller Lite Ice.
I'm going to get ready.
We could just hang out here.
I think you'd have fun, but I could go out alone.
Miller Lite Ice. For the taste that goes all out when you're out.
Now aren't you glad we decided to go out?
Miller Lite Ice. The night is young.
Hey, you get a tough case of athlete's foot. The itching, the cracking, the burning. You want a medicine that acts tough. Boom! Tough Actin Tinactin. Clinically proven Tinactin cures even tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. Get Tough Actin Tinactin.
Back in Philadelphia, the Reds lead it 1-0 on an unearned run. But the story here tonight has been the poise of young C.J. Nikowski. There with the veteran John Smiley on the bench, he made a fine pitch to close the threat out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Right here, he paints the inside corner with a fastball and locks up Dave Hollins. Phillies had a chance to get back in it. Nikowski shuts the door with his 4th strikeout of the night. I can see why the Reds are really impressed by this young man's composure. A year ago, about this time, he was pitching at St. John's.
Now he is a Saint.
To Davey Johnson, at least.
Now the Reds trying to give the youngster a little bit more breathing room here as we start the 7th inning. Eric Anthony, Eddie Taubensee, and Brett Boone. Kurt Schilling hasn't exactly been chopped liver out there on the mound, giving up only the 4 hits. You mentioned the unearned run and the 2 Hollins errors. Back in the 4th inning, Schilling has 9 strikeouts. His season high is 12. Count is 2-1. There's a strike.
Well, he has had command of that outside corner all night long. He gave up 2 hits to Thomas Howard when he got it upstairs. You see 6+ innings, just 80 pitches. He, like Mikowski, has been very economical with his pitch count. This is just the second time he has gone with 3 balls, I believe. He has really not been here very often.
Anthony takes a rip at it. Anthony struck out looking. Flew out to left field. Does Schilling even get 1 of the 3 hits on the night? I mean, it's hard for him to do much more than he has. Except he's on the short end of a 1-0 stick. Full count pitch to Anthony again. Ripped to center field. Dykstra coming. Good jump on the ball by Lenny. Makes a fine play. Always making a fine play is Gary Miller.
Chris, back to Miami. The Mets may stink, but they smell a chance to get out of last place. Ryan Thompson smokes one in the gap off John Burkett. That'll bring home Chris Jones. Kent had just hit his 9th home run. That tied it at 3. They got 2 on, 2 out in the 8th, and Burkett has come out. Back to you.
All right, so knotted up down at Joe Robbie. Nice play by Lenny Dykstra as Eddie Taubensee steps up. Taubensee involved in intriguing trade back in October of 1991. Went from Cleveland to Houston, along with reliever Willie Blair, in exchange for Dave Brody and Kenny Lofton. So in Houston, he caught some flack because, boy, you get Taubensee for Kenny Lofton. But he has certainly done well in Cincinnati. Rips it well to left with Dave Gallagher also getting a good jump. Makes the play.
At the time, that appeared to have a chance to get by Gallagher. It was a high pitch. Taubensee jumped all over it, but Gallagher got a good jump and cut it off before it could get by him.
So there are 2 out and none on, and Brett Boone is up, who's 1 for 2 tonight. And sharply a base hit to left field. Back in the 5th inning. Brett Boone, one of 3 father-son combinations to homer at Riverfront Stadium. I'm sure you can guess the Griffies being one of them. The Boones being 2 of them, Bob and Brett. The Griffies, Ken Jr. and Sr. being...
And the other? The Bonses?
No. I'm going to read this right. Because I'm saying, let's see, Ken Griffey Jr., when would that have happened? Well, the Kessingers are the other answer, Don and Keith. We'll sort this out during the 7th inning stretch as Charlie Hayes makes a nice throw over to Dave Hollins. 1-0 Reds.
Have you explored your world lately?
Morgen ga ik in de stille oceaan midden tussen de walvissen zwemmen.
Yesterday I climbed an ancient pyramid.
Viajé a un reino prohibido.
In 63 countries, in a world of ways. The Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Wrangler, the perfect jean for your 10-year-old son. And your 10-year-old husband. Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
Pine Lake. 3 friends. 3 pair of Wrangler jeans. Everybody's comfortable. Even the fish. Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
If you're still using oil-based paint to protect metal from rust, you're living in the past. Now, there's a new age of rust protection. New rust-tough latex for metal. Yes, latex, even in the harshest weather. It's as durable as oil-based paint, yet cleans up easily with soap and water, not thinner. Get new rust-tough latex for metal from the makers of Krylon products for advanced rust protection.
We're back at the vet. Not a lot of polling thus far tonight by the batters against Curt Schilling, who's been on it all year. And C.J. Mikowski, my goodness, he's putting on a heck of a show for the Reds.
Boy, he sure has, you know, and Nikowski has allowed the Phillies just 3 hits, and Curt Schilling got one of those 3 hits, and I don't know that even Davey Johnson expected the kind of performance he's getting from his young left-hander tonight. He's really been in command.
Well, as you said, Buck, I mean, he pitched last time against Atlanta, and then he goes from Atlanta to Philly. Boy, he's pitching against a good team, so that shows the confidence that the manager is giving him, and he certainly is rewarding Davey Johnson and the staff with his performance thus far tonight. 7th inning stretch time here at Philadelphia. Will that help things out?
Tough night for the hitters, as both Nikowski and Schilling have really been outstanding. Schilling with 9 strikeouts. Only run in the ball game, as we mentioned earlier, an unearned run when Schilling attempted to pick off Thomas Howard at first base. Hollins missed the throw and then threw it away at third base to allow Howard to come across and score. Oh, look out. Curveball. That curveball got away from Nikowski and hit Dalton. It sounded as though it got some of his helmet. The fans here are booing, but there was no intent whatsoever. Dalton knew that. He went right down to first base. Watch the break on this curveball. It gets away from him, and it looked like it may have hit him in the top of the shoulder and then hit him in the back of the helmet. Dalton was trying to hang in there, but it actually may have just caught him on the back of the helmet. He picks up the helmet and goes down to first base. So you got to have tough catchers like that, huh? Catchers just get right up and run down to first base. No problem.
Foul tips are tougher than that, aren't they?
Nothing to it.
Well, the Phillies get the lead man on. That's what they desire, not necessarily the method that Darren Dalton and Jim Fregosi and company had in mind, but they will take it. And there's a balk. So just as the Reds, Thomas Howard scored on a bizarre play. Here's a hit batter and a balk, and immediately the Phillies have a runner in scoring position.
That's the second balk of the year charged Nikowski, and it's a key play, and that gets Don Gullett on the horn. Watch the move. He started up and then went. There was a little initial move up. Pretty close call by the umpires, but it looked as though he saw a sign, began to go into his set position, and hesitated.
Charlie Hayes fouls it down the right field. So now we'll see about composure, Buck. As Tim Pugh, number 40, who always seems to pitch when we have a game on ESPN, he's up. Is that Michael Jackson? Is that who's up? The number workhorse for the Giants? Mike Jackson, the right-hander up, the other pitcher.
Jackson and McElroy now. Pugh was up momentarily, but it's the lefty and the righty for Don Gullett and Davey Johnson.
Pitch just missed inside. That was a good pitch on Charlie Hayes. Almost got him. With league leaders in RBI, certainly fielding very well at third. And Charlie Hayes pick up RBI number 41. Just missed inside. Count is 2-2.
Now Toppinsee's going to go out and have a talk with his young pitcher again in this situation. You could see by Hayes' approach taking that last pitch that he's thinking about getting the ball away from him and driving it at least the other side of the infield to move the base runner Dalton along. He got himself with a 2-2 count, so he's going to want to make at least a productive out and maybe take advantage of the balk. Dalton was hit by a pitch, then moved to second base when Nikowski balked.
Brett Boone with a backhanded play, turns the double play with the toss to Larkin.
What a fine play by Brett Boone, but Darren Dalton got caught. When you're on the bases and there's a line drive hitting the infield, you got to freeze. You got to make sure it goes through. Watch Dalton at the top of your screen. He takes an extra step as soon as that ball's hit, but look at Boone, who's 3 steps behind the line on the infield. Dives, makes a play, and Darren Dalton is hammered. Watch the hesitation. Boy, once he made that move toward third base, he was dead meat. Great effort by Brett Boone, who went to his right, dove for the liner, and turned it into a double play.
But we've seen Brett Boone make a few good plays tonight, that being the best.
Charlie Hayes put the ball on the right side of the infield, but it stayed airborne long enough to allow Boone to make a play on it.
Meanwhile, C.J. Nitkowski is about to equal his longest outing of the year in either AAA Indianapolis or Cincinnati. He's gone 7 innings 3 times in AAA. His longest stint in his brief run here with the Reds is 6 innings. Back against the Pirates on the 6th of this month. Davey Johnson, Don Gullett. Well, the best way to make a pitcher feel confident is to play some defense. And Brett Boone certainly did that. Dave Gallagher is 0 for 2. The count is 0-2 on him. Foul back just on top of us. Charlie saying, boy, I figure that was RBI 41 and we were tied.
Well, it looked like such a promising start to the inning when Dalton reached base when he was hit by that first pitch from Nitkowski, and then he moved to second base on the balk, but he drifted too far on the line drive off the bat of Charlie Hayes.
A 2-hopper to Jeff Branson, dug out by Eric Anthony, and he was imperial on that play. But no more imperial than Brett Boone, whose beautiful play, and the hole turned to 1-0 Red.
Kelly Springfield, we've been making tires for over 100 years. And at our ripe old age, you might think we'd start to slow down.
Ha! That chance.
Kelly Springfield, America's oldest tire company.
What is it, my feet?
No, the champagne's not Corbel.
Corbel, for people who know champagne.
You're beautiful. You're everything I ever wanted.
If you love your car, what you put on it should be more than just a wax. New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish protects your finish with beeswax and shines with rare Brazilian carnauba. Safe, naturally derived ingredients, so pure, powerful, perfect.
Oh, so beautiful.
New Zymol Natural Liquid Auto Polish.
In Philadelphia, now it's time for the Kelly Springfield Tire key plays of the game. And in a 1-0 game, you can keep track of them. With Thomas Howard at first base in the 4th inning, Dave Hollins misses the pickoff attempt from Curt Schilling. Howard hesitated a second, rounded second, played to third. Hollins, the former third baseman who had some throwing problems there, up the line to Charlie Hayes. Gallagher couldn't handle the carom, and Howard was home, and that's how the Reds scored their run. Then, just moments ago, with Dalton at second base, Hayes up. C.J. Nitkowski delivered a bullet, hit by Hayes, but Brett Boone makes the stab and adds insult to injury, doubling up Dalton. And hence, there we are at 1-0, and swinging at the first pitch here in inning number 8 is Jeff Branson, and he flies to left field. There is 1 out. And that'll be it now for the pitcher, C.J. Nitkowski, as Lenny Harris is stepping up to be the pinch hitter. So 7 innings pitched, Buck, and he was just marvelous.
Boy, he sure was. 3 singles he scattered. He really made a great pitch to Dave Hollins when he struck out Hollins with a couple of guys on board back in the 4th inning. That ended the best Phillies threat. No walks, 4 strikeouts. What an outstanding outing for the young C.J. Nitkowski. 85 pitches.
I'm sorry, but Christopher John Nitkowski is how his birth certificate reads. They shortened it to C.J., and he had a short trip through the minors to the majors, and now, at least tonight, we can see why. He was impressive. This is Lenny Harris, the longtime Dodger. Actually was here in Cincinnati before he went to L.A. Great player to have coming off the bench. He's hit 300 a couple of times. Can play about 5 different positions. Has every glove except the catcher's mitt. In the pinch hitting department, Lenny is 3 for 13 with a couple of RBIs. He's used to doing that. He and Mike Sharperson were a platoon for a couple of years in L.A. for Lasorda a couple of years ago. And as we said, Lenny personable. We used to call them spaghetti and meatballs. Sharpie was spaghetti, just brought up by the Braves, I see. And Harris was meatballs, former running back in high school. One of my favorite people in the game, just a good guy. And this one is a long run for Hayes. Makes the play. Harris is gone. Let's check in with Gary.
Chris, a huge inning of Joe Robbie for the Mets. Burkett's out of there. Randy Barris is in. And he's slow curve that Todd Hundley bloops in front of Andre Dawson. That'll score Bronya and Bonilla to break a 3-all tie. Barris still in there, and here comes Chris Jones. Jack's his 4th home run of the year. He scored a couple of times. He's knocked in a couple. This one brings home Kent and Hundley. They're up 8-3 as Saberhagen pitches in the bottom of the 8th. Back to you.
All right, Gary, thank you. With 2 outs here in the top of the order for the Reds, Barry Larkin up. Barry has grounded a second twice and flown out to center field once.
Excuse me, Chris. Barry Larkin hasn't really made a real good swing at a ball away from him all night long, so Dalton and Schilling are staying away from him.
Here's a pretty good swing. Duncan gobbles it up. Hollins off the bag, and Larkin is safe. So that'll be an error not to Hollins, but to Mariano Duncan. So for the fine fielding Phillies, their 3rd error tonight, all by infielders.
Now Larkin makes a little better pass on this fastball away from him. Hits it sharply, but once again, it's right at Duncan. No reason at all. He got plenty of time, but just throws it wide of the mark at first base, and it pulls Dave Hollins off first. Another error, as Chris mentioned. 3rd Philly error of the night.
So Larkin aboard and Thomas Howard, who is 2 for 3. Reds only have 4 hits. Howard has 2 of them. And there goes Larkin. Got a good jump, and he's stolen a base on Darren Dalton. And Schilling really not keeping an eye on him that time, and Larkin was gone.
Well, he's got 18 now. And Darren Dalton didn't have much of a chance at all. Schilling just forgot about him. Watched the move at first base. As soon as he picked up that front leg, Larkin was off and running. Now he is 18 for 20. Dalton's throw was rushed and short of the mark. Tough to give up those extra 90 feet when you're talking about a 1-run ball game.
He's 18 already, and he played a couple of months. His career high in the stolen base category is 40. That's back in 1988 when he was just a pup. So Larkin, well, thumb injuries don't hurt in the stolen base department, do they, Buck?
Now he is still running well, and that was a very big stolen base, given that there are 2 down here.
And Dalton and Schilling will talk about it because they just cannot afford the way they've been swinging the bats, although they will get a new pitcher. They cannot afford to give up another run. Of course, Howard in there in center field because Deion Sanders, who was here with the club, takes a couple of turns on the ankle, but it's not really ready. Don't know if he'll be ready to come back this weekend. And just like the Phillies list, look at this list, Buck, for the games missed by the Reds this year.
Well, Sanders is still a ways away from coming back. Same for Hal Morris. He's about 2 weeks away. Brian Hunter probably the same, 10 days, 2 weeks. Good news, Benito Santiago, the catcher, is close to coming back. He was out earlier this afternoon throwing. Jose Rijo had a cortisone shot in his elbow, and he says he feels great. Really optimistic that he'll be able to take his regular turn the rest of the way out.
He was upbeat, Jose Rijo was this afternoon. There's the chopper to second base. Duncan will try it again. Took a kind of a Super Bowl bounce, but he made the play over to Hollins. And we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Reds lead by the scantest of margins, 1-0.
The Krylon Touch
means making the old look new.
The Krylon Touch.
And the boring becomes beautiful. Show your true colors.
Don't just paint, give it the Krylon Touch.
Only with Krylon.
What would Holiday Inn be like if families could still have all kinds of fun, but for less money? Actually, it would be just like Ramada. What would Holiday Inn be like if its staff was so friendly and helpful they were rated higher than the competition's? Actually, it would be just like Ramada.
Popping with flavor, more flavor than ever, and less fat too. It's the right thing to do. Popping with flavor. Pringles right, crisp flavors, they're new. And the taste indulging, right thing to do. Tangy, sour cream and onion, now more flavor on the chips. Less fat and less grease across your lips. Popping with flavor. Pringles right, crisp flavor. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Today in local sports, the poor Sheffield Tigers lost 42-3 to the Wakeman Lions, and they're taking it pretty hard. They may never recover from this one, folks. Davy Johnson couldn't connect all day, little Bobby Emerson couldn't find the plate, and even Big John Berg couldn't score.
At today's Pizza Hut, your pizza's right or it's free, guaranteed.
With 43 games left, team spirit's at an all-time low.
Pizza Hut, year after year, America's favorite pizza place.
The Reds lead it 1-0 here in the bottom of the 8th. C.J. Nitkowski is gone, but boy, did he impress, giving up only the 3 hits, and he stands to win it. Jerome Walton goes into center field. He will now hit 9th on a double switch pulled by manager Davy Johnson. So Howard will sit, and batting in the second spot is the new pitcher Jeff Brantley, who's been the closer a buck for the Cincinnati Reds. Brantley, the former Giant, with 11 saves, but since he hasn't pitched for about a week, he's got a rested wing.
Yeah, he's got plenty of good pitches in that arm. As you mentioned, he hasn't pitched since the 22nd of June. There are his numbers. 22 hits in 32 and a third innings. Look at the walks. He just doesn't give the opposition any opportunities to come back. 27 strikeouts in over 32 innings, and Davy Johnson went right to Jeff Brantley, who has really done a fine job serving as the closer here. And again, another conversation between Johnson and Ray Knight about the situation here as they try to protect this one-run lead.
Yeah, most teams will not bring in their closer in the 8th inning, especially although they're not quite sure exactly if Michael Jackson's 100%, but Mike Jackson will be the guy to get to Brantley once he is fine. They get Carrasco out there and McElroy, but Jeff Brantley has done a very good job. First he pitched with San Francisco. A big hand in their run in the World Series in '89 when he was 7-1 out of the pen. He has started some, but he is the closer here for Cincinnati. And it'll be Stocker, a pinch hitter for the pitcher Schilling, and Lenny Dykstra.
There's Tony Longmire on deck. He'll come out as a pinch hitter for Schilling.
Stocker fouls that one back. So C.J. Nitkowski gave up the 3 hits on the night, Buck, and more impressive than that was poise, I think.
Yeah, he had one tough situation with runners at first and second, 2 down. He had very dangerous Dave Hollins, and Don Belloc must be very pleased with his young left-hander. The way he moved the ball around tonight really held the Phillies team in check. You know, one thing about this Philadelphia team that's different from the '93 team is their lack of power. They don't have the ability to come back. They've hit just 34 home runs, and that has to be a concern for Jim Fregosi. They don't have the guy that can just step up there and bop one out of the ballpark and erase any kind of deficit.
Well, they're in the middle of the pack in run score, but they are by far and away the lowest in home runs. And Stocker is rung up by Jeff Brantley. So 1 up and 1 down, and that'll bring up the pinch hitter Tony Longmire.
Brantley's got a good assortment of pitches, and right here he runs that fastball up and away from Stocker, and with 2 strikes, Kevin had to go after it and strikes down. First strikeout for Jeff Brantley.
Longmire, who can hit the long ball at times. He really had a long home run to left field earlier this year. He was one that was in the doghouse a little bit in spring training.
Well, he was late reporting to spring training, and then he had a talk with a couple of the Phillies coaches, and it certainly did wonders as he's hitting right at 400, 392.
Seven pinch hits thus far this year for Longmire. Just wide of third base. So a big week for Jim Fregosi, bench coach John Vukovich, and the Philadelphia Phillies. They're in danger of losing the second of this 3-game set to the Reds, and then Atlanta comes in for a 4-game set Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Schilling would pitch the final game of that series on Monday against Steve Avery. It'll be Quantrill against Shorrock tomorrow night here, tomorrow afternoon. And Tyler Green, David West, Michael Mims, and Curt Schilling against Smoltz, Maddox, Glavine, and Avery. So their workers cut out for him here in Philadelphia. Gets under it, foul back. Tompkins will take a run, but this is way out of play. Cincinnati Reds know that the Houston Astros are starting to play some good baseball, certainly pounding out a lot of runs. And the Reds lead the Astros by 4.5, the Cubs by 7, as the Cubs were winners this afternoon at Wrigley.
Well, Davey Johnson is very well aware that Jeff Bagwell has started to heat up for the Astros and start to carry that ball club a bit. How about Derek Bell? Boy, has he done a good job.
He sure has. Count is 3-2. None on with a 1 out. Dykstra on deck. Big at bat here for Longmire. Brantley struck out the first man he saw. Stocker, can he do the same? Just got a piece of it.
With Longmire to play, Chris mentioned how productive he is as a pinch hitter. Look how deep the Reds outfielders are. They don't want anything to go by them to give Longmire a chance for extra bases. You see Gantt in left field, almost 20 feet in front of the warning track.
Outside misses, and the Phillies have the tying run aboard as Len Dykstra comes up. Lenny Dykstra had a shot before the game for his ailing back, and he told me it was an epidural type with a 10-inch needle, which they didn't tell him about. All of a sudden he said, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" He didn't see it until he got up from the table, took a look, and the doctor said that's what that was. But that's the type of things that Dykstra will have to do. Not every day, certainly not every week, not every 2 weeks, but if he wants to play all year, it's going to be a painful season for Lenny Dykstra, but that's kind of what he's about. I'm expecting to back down from it. A shot, though, handled by Anthony. Throw is wide of Larkin, who spins. And was he safe at second base? Yes, he was. Larkin had a ballet pirouette. And Davey Johnson's going to come out to question the call from second base umpire Jerry Lane.
Larkin had to go out toward right field to make the play on the wide throw. Davey Johnson's going to say that Larkin maintained contact. They've scored it in the air on the first baseman. Barry Larkin got the ball, but his foot lost contact with the bag at second base. Take a look at Eric Anthony's throw. Wide of the mark, and it takes Larkin away, but I don't know if he maintained contact or not. What an effort by Barry Larkin. That throw was about 7 feet wide of the mark at second, and Larkin may have kept his foot on the bag.
That's So Davy Johnson is contested. That throw almost hit Longmire in the helmet. So an error on Anthony is now put runners at first and second, and Mariano Duncan up. Duncan 1 for 3, rips it, but foul. We've seen the first basemen have their hands in handcuffs tonight, it seems. Both Hollins and Anthony scuffling in the field. Cincinnati Reds, want to know why they're in first place? 1-run games, extra inning games, exceptional. Brantley delivers, and there's another well-hit foul ball, but quickly Duncan behind 0-2. The throwing in the Cincinnati pen at this point is Kevin Jarvis, who's just been moved out of the starting rotation. You may remember that name. He's the first man to pitch a complete game this season in either league. Now he's pitching out of the bullpen as Pugh has moved in.
There's not going to be any changes right here with Brantley on the mound. See that solo home run there for Duncan against Brantley. Had a good rip at that high fastball. Excuse me, Chris. Brantley's got real good control of all of his pitches. He throws a fastball, a slider, and a good split finger pitch. We pointed out that he had walked just 7 batters. That tells you what kind of control he has, and he can make a pitch right here. He's in the driver's seat at 0-2.
Did he go around, appeal down? Yes, he did. A big strikeout for Jeff Brantley, his second. Both of his outs registered here in the 8th by the strikeout. And so with 2 down, Jim Eisenreich will step up.
Mariano Duncan tries to lay off that high fastball, but you can see clearly he went too far. And he is called out. Second strikeout of the inning for Jeff Brantley. Tell you one thing, if I were Brantley right now, I'd be very careful of the first pitch to Eisenreich. He's looking first pitch fastball right here. He is 1 for 3 against Brantley in his career. Good pitch.
Good pitch on the outside corner, strike one. Jim Fregosi looking at both options, has his setup man Ricky Vitalico going and his closer Heathcliff Slocum up in the bullpen, depending on the situation, to come in and pitch the ninth. Now the chilling will be gone. Longmire, the runner at second base. Dykes to the runner at first base. 2 out. Stays on the outside corner. This one a little bit outside. Count is 1-1 to the dangerous Jim Eisenreich. Handled thus far tonight by C.J. Nitkowski. 0 for 2 and then hit him with a pitch.